Clark.
Ministerial statement.
I call the Honourable the Prime Minister.
Thanks, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the 100th anniversary of the landing at Anzac Cove, thousands of Australians made the journey to Gallipoli. The descendants of the fallen, as well as strangers, walked among the graves, read the epitaphs and touched the walls of granite where the names of the missing are inscribed. In both World Wars and in Korea, our dead lie close to where they fell. As every visitor to our war cemeteries knows, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission reverently maintains the shrines where they rest. But, Madam Speaker, shortly after the commencement of our involvement in Vietnam, Australian policy changed. We decided to bring home the bodies of the fallen. We can never restore those who have died in the service of our country, but we can and we should offer solace and support to the families left behind. 50 years ago this week, the first contingent of the 1st Battalion, Royal Australian Regiment, departed for South Vietnam. Eventually, almost 60,000 Australians, including Army, Air Force and Navy personnel, served in Vietnam. Some 521 of them are listed on the Roll of Honour at the Australian War Memorial. Of the 521, all but 25 were brought home. Of the 25 not brought home, 24 of them lie at Terendak Cemetery in Malaysia. Terendak Cemetery is situated on a peaceful slope surrounded by trees. The graves are tended with respect, and I thank the Government of Malaysia for the care it has shown for almost half a century. However, the cemetery is located within a large operational Malaysian military base, and security restrictions understandably limit the access of families to the graves of their loved ones. Among those buried in Terendak Cemetery is Private Ronald Field of the 1st Battalion Royal Australian Regiment. Private Field, a forward scout, was killed in action on the 9th of October 1965. Also lying there is Warrant Officer Max Hanley of the Australian Army Training Team Vietnam. He earned the Military Medal in the Malayan Emergency and was also awarded the US Bronze Star for exceptional heroism while serving as a platoon leader in Vietnam. Warrant Officer Hanley was killed in action in South Vietnam on the 20th of February 1967. Also interred at Terendak alongside our Vietnam veterans is Lieutenant David Bryan of the 3rd Battalion Royal Australian Regiment. Lieutenant Bryan was killed during operations on the Thai-Malaya border on the 5th of March 1964. Madam Speaker, Mrs Diane Field, the widow of Private Ronald Field, Mrs Marie Hanley, widow of Warrant Officer Max Hanley, and Mrs Sarah Ferguson, the widow of Lieutenant David Bryan, are with us in the gallery today. You are our honoured guests. Today we remember the sacrifice of your husbands made in the service of our country, as well as the burdens that you and your families have carried. Madam Speaker, the natural instinct of governments is to resolve problems to the satisfaction of their citizens. We don't want soldiers killed in the same war treated differently. Hence, Madam Speaker, the government will offer to repatriate the remains of all the Australians interred at Terendak Cemetery. This offer will also be extended to the family of Warrant Officer Kevin Conway, who died in the Vietnam War and is buried in Kranji War Cemetery in Singapore. Because of the unique circumstances of Terendak Military Cemetery, with its limited access for families, this offer will be extended to all the families of those interred there, including those of service dependents. Madam Speaker, in making this decision, the government has consulted with the RSL, with the Vietnam Veterans Association and the Vietnam Veterans Federation, as well as with families. And I want to acknowledge the fine work of the Minister for Veterans Affairs, Senator Ronaldson, in this matter, and also the advocacy of the Member for Solomon. Madam Speaker, the decision to take up this offer of repatriation rests, as it should, with the soldiers' widows, children or immediate family. They can start to bring their loved ones home, or they may choose to let them rest where they lie. Either way, their decision will be respected. I can assure those who choose repatriation that we will bring our soldiers home with full military honours. They will be reburied in Australia at a cemetery of the family's choosing, and the Commonwealth will bear the full cost of repatriation and burial. Madam Speaker, the former Chief of Army, General David Morrison, once observed that the Australians who served in Vietnam laid the foundations for the modern professional Australian Army. They fought well in a difficult and a controversial war, but they are worthy successors to the Anzacs we remembered a month ago. Today's decision will ensure that all the Australians who died in the Vietnam War receive equal treatment. It is a policy worthy of a country that honours all who wear our uniform and who serve in our name. We do remember all who served in the Vietnam War. We especially remember those who were faithful even unto death. They did their duty, they remain an example, and their selfless sacrifice will never be forgotten by the country they served.